companies, whether they make video games or not, have a tendency to get sued. Sometimes these are frivolous lawsuits courtesy of weirdos. Sometimes they're class actions when a company gets it wrong in a major way. And sometimes a child and his mother sue Nintendo over Joy-Con drift. You heard that right. A mother and her young child sued Nintendo because of their total inability to adequately address the biggest hardware problem in games since the Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death, Joy-Con drift. While Nintendo has, to some extent, acknowledged the issue and taken steps to address it, it hasn't been enough. Today, we're going to take a look at how and why a child sued Nintendo over the controllers on their Switch console. And we're going to examine the Joy-Con drift issue and why it's still a major problem today. If you haven't heard the phrase Joy-Con drift before, don't worry. The situation isn't great, but it isn't all that complicated either. Since the launch of the original Nintendo Switch in 2017, and through all the refreshes of the mainline Switch console, Joy-Con drift has plagued Switch owners. In short, over time, Switch owners report that the analog sticks on their Joy-Cons randomly input commands to the console, even when they're not being physically moved around. This problem tends to affect left Joy-Con controllers, which are traditionally used for movement, more so than right Joy-Con controllers. But the problem is pervasive. Many Switch owners report drifting issues on both Joy-Cons and even on replacement Joy-Cons as well. However, there are not exact reports and exact numbers for users experiencing Joy-Con drift issues in comparison with how many Switches have been sold, because many users don't report or notice issues and many others never experience issues whatsoever. Without a clear understanding of the problem, and little clarity given from Nintendo's end, Joy-Con drift is a murky issue that's hard to tell exactly how serious it actually is, and which is partly by design, no doubt. Either way, considering the expense of Joy-Con controllers, the awkward, slow nature of repairs during a pandemic, and Nintendo's relative silence on the issue, regardless of how many Switch users are actually impacted by the issue, it's safe to say Joy-Con drift has evolved from problem into controversy. Accordingly, it's not hard to see how these kinds of issues can lead to lawsuits. And considering the target audience of Nintendo products, any hardware defect is liable to just hurt, frustrate, and disappoint children. So, how do Joy-Cons, the Nintendo Switch, and controller drift hardware problems relate to a kid suing Nintendo? In October of 2020, a class action lawsuit against Nintendo was filed in Northern California by a woman named Luz Sanchez, alongside her young son. The complaint described how Sanchez had purchased her son a Switch in December of 2018, but that within a month the controllers began drifting. Less than a year later, Sanchez claims, the Joy-Con drift had become so pronounced the console wasn't usable anymore. So Sanchez purchased another set of Joy-Cons for her son. Unfortunately, a mere 7 months later, these replacement Joy-Cons had also experienced drift. Sanchez argues that a product with a major defect that
It's no secret that gaming consoles have become more PC-like than ever. Gone are the days of ultra-custom hardware and ROM cartridges, with gaming boxes now mostly being built from components that resemble off-the-shelf parts that you'd get for a normal PC. And perhaps no console is a better example of this than the Xbox family from Microsoft, especially with their forthcoming Xbox Series X that even looks suspiciously like a PC. I mean, remember guys, this is the same company that makes Windows, and they're even pushing developers to code on the Universal Windows platform, which makes games very easy to port between PCs and Xboxes. So then why is it that it is virtually impossible to install Windows on your Xbox and stuff? Thank him for his contributions. So it turns out that Microsoft... Is it just me, or is Dr. Lisa Su turning into the master of dunking on the competition? Last time she got on stage, she dropped a Ryzen-shaped bomb on Intel, and now she's at it again, this time taking on Jensen Leatherman Huang. And from what she showed us today, Jensen might want to keep his oven on so he can pump out some more GPUs before the new Radeon 6000 series hits store shelves on November 18th. That's right, get back in the kitchen. It's not sexist anymore, because like, she's telling him to get back in the kitchen. Just like I should have sent this segue to our sponsor back to the kitchen. Glasswire helps you keep track of the weird stuff that's connecting to your PC, even when you're not using it. If a strange device joins your Wi-Fi, you'll be notified right away. Get 25% off by using code Linus at the link below. Let's get this out of the way up front. We wrote this script before the big diameter. Now, RDNA 2 has been rumored, it's been speculated on. Heck, I've even played on the new architecture in the Xbox. But now we find AMD is using the same 7nm process as their previous Radeon 5000 series cards. Now, given the meter node with Ampere, and considering the performance they gained by doing so, AMD staying on their old process might not sound like it bodes well for the new cards. But they claim that compared to the Radeon 5000 series, a better performance per watt, which mostly just means that the power draw is the same, but still, considering that the higher end RTX 3000 series from Nvidia is chugging down power like it's trying to drain a lake, not too shabby. How'd they accomplish all that? Well, unfortunately, AMD didn't go into much depth, but they did say that they tuned their core design for frequency and power efficiency. Just like, what the hell else would you tune it for? You're not tuning it for crappy clock speeds and crummy power consumption. So that's all marketing speak, but they did provide a couple preliminary details on optimized well, or we can, just like our water bottle, what are used to fidelity for ray traced content, and acceleration for the ambient occlusion and screen space reflection features that AMD is already using. AMD says that they don't really have a baseline. I have a good feeling about AMD never enabled a ray tracing API for RDNA 1. I have a good feeling about it though from looking at GTX cards running ray tracing in software. Those features tie into AMD's overarching support that dynamically reduce complexity for less frequently updated portions of the screen, mesh shaders that combine into both is that form peaceful but super resolution, which for all intents using. So finally, there's something that AMD is calling Infinity Cash, which I swear is not a cryptocurrency. It does sound like one though, doesn't it? Instead, Infinity Cache consists of 128 megabytes of extremely fast on-die memory that, just like Ryzen's cache, keeps the GPU fed during memory-intensive operations, which AMD specifically said Really?
Gore. Isn't it awesome? You take a boring game, you add gore, instant shock value. Nothing communicates damage like a classic blood splatter. Such a simple mechanic. Well, not that simple if you're on Roblox. My game studio Runker got this message in January from Roblox admins. I just uploaded a video promoting our game, and while it was getting hundreds of thousands of views, the game was locked by Roblox staff because of gore content, extreme blood. Wow, extreme blood? Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right. Just shut it down. We can't risk letting kids see blood.
Bloodfest. Wave survival like no other.
Oh, but Phantom Forces is okay. And Apocalypse Rising, that's fine. Oh, Gladiator's okay. Counter Blocks, never mind the Wild West. Which is part of the egg hunt. We ended up removing the blood stains, and they still wouldn't reopen our game. We are not able to open your game, remove the blood spraying when people are wounded or dead. That's what they said. We had to turn off the little damage indicator where a blood cloud would appear when you get shot. That's exactly how APOC and PF, how the Wild West does it. And yet, our group was singled out, coincidentally, right after I post this video. And the thing is, when you upload a video, the first 5 days that it's live, that's when it gets the most views. If you look at the analytics on this, you can see the first 5 days it gets more views than it gets the rest of the month. This is when the game went offline. This is when it went back up. Can you see why I'm frustrated? I talked to customer service. I said, can this please be reconsidered? Roblox allows the same type of blood spraying in all these other games. It seems unfair that only we can't have this feature. So Hobbs replied, yeah, I'm sure that's his name, Hobbs. Is he related to Hal by any chance? Hobbs basically says my email isn't associated with the account that owns the game, so he can't talk to me about it. But it's a group game. I'm a developer in the group. I have studio access. I've been updating this game for 6 months, and you're telling me you can't do your job because I'm not the group owner? The plan was to upload the video and enjoy a spike in traffic to our game. I could have made hundreds of dollars that we would have invested back into the community. Because when we make Robux off of Runker, we use that to pay builders. We don't buy Teslas. We don't move to California. We hire people. We contribute to the economy, and we're getting fucked over gore content. When other developers are making games where you could saw people in half with chainsaws, or decapitate people with blood squirting out their necks, or incinerate people alive with flamethrowers, or literally kill yourself over and over to get points to spend on cooler ways to kill yourself. So thank you, Roblox moderation team, for making our game a much safer place for children to drive over landmines and jump off buildings into dumpsters and get soccer kicked by a T-posing Shrek. I'm glad you could take a break from looking at furry porn. That's what I call core values. Posing Shrek. I'm glad you could take a break from looking at furry porn. That's what I call core values. That's what I call powering imagination. So anyways, we remove all the blood and we get our game back up and we run an ad. If you don't know already, Roblox lets users create ads that show up on the website, provided they follow the rules and you pay enough money. So this is the ad that we ran. Want to see something hot? No. Whoops. You see that? That's the incinerator. It's a staple of our game. This ad was approved, meaning a moderator working for Roblox saw it, gave it the okay, and then let us spend 10,000 Robux on it, and then it gets to leave it. Oh, sorry. Oh, no refunds. Never mind. 10,000 Robux costs, let me see, $100. So I emailed them. Of course I fucking emailed them. What do you expect me to do? Go out and protest? I send them an email. I say, today I spent 10,000 Robux on an ad, blah, blah, blah. I think this is unfair because the ad was approved and only taken down after we spent 10k Robux. If you can give my group a refund, I would be very grateful. And then we reviewed the account, not my account, and your game is not appropriate. What? We just went over this. This isn't about the game, this is about the ad. I said user ad. The word game isn't even in my email. And why do you think this is my account? This is the account that owns the group. It would have been real convenient if they made that mistake with my last email. And Kyle? You really expect me to believe this was sent by a Kyle? That's a really white-sounding name for someone who responded at 4:40 a.m. Pacific time on behalf of a company that outsources people from India to handle their emails. Here's a question. As diverse of a company as they are, why does Roblox feel like they have to lie and give their support team white-sounding names to respond to emails with? Like Kyle or Hobbs. Why can't they just be honest and say, this email was automatically generated by our customer support software? Probably because they're the kind of company to rip people off for $100. You know, to rip people off that are trying to improve their platform and make them more money. Because in the end, Roblox isn't just hurting people like me by doing this, they're hurting themselves. Think about all the Robux that could have been spent on my game had it not have been closed. 30% of that would have gone to Roblox. But nope, Extreme Blood. So if you're new to the channel, you may have heard of a series I used to make called Roblox Watch. And what Roblox Watch is, or what it was my attempt at a satirical news-themed series where I would take real incidents that happened with Roblox, and I would add elements of fiction to them to make them funny. So like an example would be back when tickets were removed, I had this segment that described the facts of what was going on, and then I totally made up this speech that David made at a fake press conference where he was explaining how to be evil and how he totally fooled his stupid customers.
Roblox CEO David Baszucki told media sources it'd be best if the users were told something simple, like the change was made to improve the look of the site. We did that back when we removed subforums a few years ago, and the board of directors was shitting themselves laughing at how no one questioned it.
But then I would go on to actually criticize his decision, and I did this with a lot of things. I would explain what was happening, make a joke about it, and then I would argue why it's wrong. So one person in particular, who I know really didn't like me doing this, is Bob Heron, who you may know is Noble Dragon. So Bob works at Roblox as the head of moderation. And a lot of my jokes and a lot of my criticism was directed at moderation. So Bob and his team of mods got together and started banning me, and they banned every single account that I created just because it was mine. And at first I was really heartbroken, especially after my first account, Navy898, was deleted. But after the 4th or 5th deletion, I stopped caring.
And on tonight's broadcast, Kaizo Mario 1234, a well-known and well-respected artier, was deleted. Why? Hey now, it's Roblox, remember? Do we ever really know why innocent people get deleted other than because some prick sits in a chair all day wishing he had more Hot Pockets to shove into his face while he ruins people's fun on a forum for a children's building game? These
In
monitors...
the final episode of the first season of Roblox Watch, I decided that I would give Bob his own segment. So a friend of mine, who's a furry, was looking through the list of people that Bob followed on his Roblox Twitter account, and he recognized this furry artist in that list. And this wasn't like some low-level hand-holding stuff. This was like... So in the segment that I made for Bob, I explained the whole thing, made some jokes about it, and then I gave a monologue as to why it's probably not a good idea for the head of moderation at Roblox to be following a not safe for work account on his Roblox affiliated Twitter account. This was really the nail in the coffin for my alias. And from this point onward, doing so much as mentioning my name on the site, whether it was on the forums, in-game, or even like in your bio, would get you permanently banned. And there's a lot of accounts in Roblox hell for saying Ben Simon on the forums. So this segment came out in May of 2016. It was over 3 years ago, and regardless, I'm still being banned by Bob to this day. So a month ago, I met him in-game on an account that lasted almost 2 years without being banned. It was Hostile Skies. I was in-game with him, and I was about to win. He was like the last person left, and he was on the enemy team. So I typed in chat something along the lines of, "Hey, Noble Dragon, if I let you win, will you unban Navy 898? Or something like that. And he didn't reply, so I shot him down and he left the game, and a week later I was deleted on that long-standing account. Not just me though, I was living with my girlfriend at the time and we shared an IP, and the way that Noble Dragon banned me is he looked at the IP that I was using that account on, and he found all the accounts that used that IP, and he banned all of those too. So my girlfriend was caught in the collateral of that, even though she's never broken any rules. She hardly even uses in-game chat, and the only thing she did wrong was be affiliated with me. All of her progress in all of her games wiped because we shared the same IP. So I think that was pretty. All of her games wiped because we shared the same IP. So I think that was pretty dumb. I mean, I'm used to getting banned over and over again. This was her first ban. This was her first moderation on that account. So
let's begin with their mod team. Lots of adults, mature adults, everyone well suited for their job. And here are the rules of the Roblox. Some obvious ones are the usual. No being edgy, no scamming, cheating. They can tolerate all these quite well, but one thing they cannot tolerate are memes. I will take for example Ruben Sim, a major Chad, was banned, and many of his accounts were banned by Roblox for a less serious reason. His ban reasons would consist of inappropriate behavior or more vague response, breaking TOS. So what was the inappropriate thing that Roblox deemed to be so terrible? Because remember, Ruben was terminated consistently for being quote-unquote